I, 19F, have always dreamed of going to college. My dad passed when I was 10, and my stepmom, 42F, came into my life shortly after. Ever since high school, she's told me college was a waste of time and money, that no one hires people with degrees anymore, and that I should just work with my hands like her son, 24M, who repairs phones and lives at home rent-free. Despite her discouragement, I worked hard, applied to over 30 scholarships, and just received a full ride to a great university out of state for computer science. When I told her, her reaction was weird. First, she looked stunned, then she said, "Well, I always told you to be smart about your choices." Excuse me. She never once supported me. In fact, she refused to sign FAFSA forms, wouldn't help with applications, and mocked me for staying up late to study. But now that I've made it, she's posting about me on Facebook like she was my biggest cheerleader. It hurts because she made me feel stupid for having dreams. Now I'm questioning whether I should even let her be part of this new chapter of my life. I want to be grateful, but I also want her to understand she didn't believe in me. And it's okay to admit that now. Instead of rewriting history, I didn't say anything to her at first. I just smiled awkwardly and went to my room. My heart pounding. I should have been proud, hell. I am proud, but it felt tainted. Like someone who told me I'd fail is now standing in the winner's circle with me, pretending they were part of the journey. That night, she posted this on Facebook. "Proud mom moment. Our girl got a full scholarship to college. Hard work pays off. I always told her to never settle and chase her dreams." I stared at the post for a full 5 minutes. My jaw clenched. Our girl told her to never settle. Is she serious? I don't want to be petty. I really don't. But it's like she's trying to rewrite the entire story of the last few years. The late nights I cried because she told me I was aiming too high. The time she ripped up one of my printed applications and said, "Don't waste printer ink on fantasy." The day she laughed when I told her I wanted to work in tech one day. You, with all those hoodie-wearing nerds. I ended up texting my aunt, my mom's sister, that night. She's the one person who did support me and told her everything. She just replied, "People like your stepmom can't stand watching someone else prove them wrong. Keep shining." But here's where it gets messy. This morning, I overheard her on the phone with someone, maybe her sister, saying, "Yeah, now that she's got the scholarship, maybe we can get her to help with bills or the mortgage. It's not like college students are that busy." What? She's already thinking about how I can financially benefit her, like I'm some kind of investment that finally paid off. I haven't even left for orientation yet, and she's planning how to use me. It made me feel sick. My mind's racing. I've worked so hard to get out of here, to build something for myself. I don't want to carry guilt or bitterness into this next chapter. But now I'm questioning, should I even tell her where I end up going? Should I block her from access to my financial stuff? Should I call her out directly? And here's the wildest part. I caught my stepbrother scrolling through my scholarship acceptance email on the shared computer. And he said, "Wow, must be nice to be the favorite now." The favorite? When for years, I was just the girl who reads too much and doesn't know how the real world works. I feel like I'm stepping into a new life, but the chains of the old one are trying to wrap around my ankles. That afternoon, I went for a walk. I didn't tell anyone, I just needed to breathe. My chest was tight, like all the years of being talked down to. Dismissed and made to feel small were pressing down on me at once. I thought about everything. The nights I ate dinner in my room to avoid her mood. The way she used to tell people I was antisocial when really, I just didn't want to be mocked. And now she was telling the world that she helped raise me into this brilliant, determined young woman. I finally made a decision. When I got home, I went into my room, shut the door and opened my laptop. I changed the password to my email, set up a new bank account using my aunt's address. She had offered to help me with anything college-related. I called the scholarship office and updated my emergency contact info, removed my stepmom's name from everything. She may have lived in the same house, but she wasn't part of this journey, not really, and I wasn't going to give her the power to sabotage what came next. Later that evening, during dinner, she casually said, "Oh, by the way, you should give me access to your student portal or whatever. Just in case you forget anything, I can help." I looked up from my plate. "I've got it covered, everything's sorted." She raised an eyebrow. "Don't be ungrateful." Ungrateful? That word hit me like a slap. I stood up, calmly placed my fork down and said, "You don't get to ask for gratitude now. You never believed in me. You told me college was a joke. You told me I'd fail." The room went silent. Even my stepbrother looked up from his phone. "You mocked me, blocked me, refused to help. And now that I've made it, you want a front row seat like you've been cheering me on this whole time." She stared at me, mouth open like she couldn't believe I said that. Then came the tears, or at least something like them. "Oh, so now I'm the villain, after I put a roof over your head for years." "You did," I nodded, "and I'll always be thankful for that. But you didn't support me, and you don't get to rewrite the story now that I've proven you wrong." I didn't wait for her response. I went to my room, locked the door, and sat on my bed. I didn't cry. Not this time. I just breathed, knowing that the life I was about to step into was finally mine. Move-in day came faster than I expected. I thought I'd feel nervous or overwhelmed, but honestly, I felt light. Like a backpack I'd been carrying for years had finally been unstrapped from my shoulders. My aunt drove me. She brought snacks, tissues, and played her Strong Women playlist the whole way. At one point, she glanced over at me and said, "You know, you didn't just beat the odds, you crushed them." I didn't say anything right away. I just smiled and looked out the window, trying not to cry. Not because I was sad, but because someone finally said the words I had been dying to hear for years. When we got to campus, I saw people everywhere, laughing, hauling suitcases, hugging their parents. I kept expecting my stepmom to text. Maybe wish me luck, she didn't. Which was fine. Honestly, a part of me was relieved. I unpacked slowly, putting my books on the shelf like they were sacred. My laptop, my framed picture of my dad. I set it by the window, like he was looking out with me, finally watching me begin the life he always said I was meant for. Later that night, while my roommate was out meeting people, I lay on my bed and opened my phone. There were 3 missed calls, all from my stepmom. Then a text, "You're being unfair. I was only trying to protect you. I thought you'd never make it, and I didn't want you to be disappointed. I was just being realistic." I stared at it. Not sorry, not proud, just justifying. Another text came in. "You could at least say thank you. I kept a roof over your head when no one else did." I didn't reply. I closed my phone and tucked it under my pillow. Here's the thing, I am grateful. I'm grateful for the roof, the food, even the harsh words, because they lit a fire under me. They made me hungry to prove her wrong, to be better, to rise. But I'm done seeking her validation. I don't need it anymore. The next day, I went to orientation. I met people who talked about books, ideas, code, and late-night coffee like it was all part of some shared dream. I didn't feel weird or out of place. I felt like I belonged, for the first time in my life. When I walked back to my dorm, the sun was setting across campus, and I stood still for a minute, just breathing it in. This is what freedom tastes like. The weeks that followed felt like a dream I never thought I'd get to live. Classes were challenging, sure, but in the best way. I finally got to sit in rooms where people asked questions because they wanted to know more, not because someone forced them to be there. For once, learning didn't feel like escaping. It felt like arriving. I made friends, real ones. People who didn't think I was too quiet or too intense when I talked about algorithms or books or wanting to start my own app one day. My roommate, Jess, was a design major who had rainbow sticky notes all over the wall and wore vintage headphones everywhere. She introduced me to late-night ramen runs and spontaneous dance parties. For the first time in my life, I laughed without feeling like I had to shrink myself first. Still, I'd be lying if I said I didn't check my phone sometimes, half hoping there'd be a message from my stepmom that felt real. That felt human, not manipulative, not guilt-tripping, just honest. But the only thing I got was another message 2 weeks in. "Your stepbrother says you think you're too good for us now. I always knew college would change you." That one stung, because maybe she was right, but not in the way she meant. College had changed me. Or maybe it just gave me the space to become the person I had always been, without having to apologize for it. Still, I couldn't shake the feeling that she wasn't done. Something about the tone of that last message told me she felt threatened by my distance. Like the less I needed her, the more desperate she became to insert herself into my story again. And then it happened. I was in the middle of a study session at the library when I got an email alert from the financial aid office. Subject, urgent. Parent contact attempting to access student account. I froze. I opened the email. Apparently, someone had called pretending to be my guardian, asking for information about my financial account, claiming there was a mix-up with the scholarship, and they needed to confirm details to help process housing payments. I felt my hands go cold. I marched straight to the office the next morning and confirmed everything was secure. They were understanding, but the staff member leaned over gently and asked, "Is this someone trying to help you or control you?" I didn't answer. I didn't have to. That night, I called my aunt. "I think she's trying to mess with my financial records." I said I think she wants access, not because she cares, but because she wants control. My aunt didn't even hesitate. "She's losing her grip on you." sweetheart, and she's not handling it well. We talked for an hour, and by the end of it, we came up with a plan, locked down everything, switch addresses, secure all passwords. We even scheduled a meeting with a school counselor to make sure I had emotional support. Because the truth is, even when you cut someone out of your life, the hurt doesn't magically disappear, especially when that someone raised you, or pretended to. A week later, I was walking back from my programming lab, headphones in when I saw her, my stepmom, standing at the front of the campus visitor center like she belonged there, sunglasses pushed up in her hair, arms crossed, scanning the crowd like a hawk looking for its target. My stomach dropped. For a second, I thought I was hallucinating, but then she spotted me and started waving like we were old friends bumping into each other at the grocery store. I froze. She walked toward me, smiling like nothing was wrong, like she hadn't just tried to impersonate me to the financial aid office, like she hadn't once said, "College is a scam," or "You're not cut out for that world." "Sweetheart," she said, "I was in the area. Thought I'd surprise you. Figured we could grab lunch. Catch up, you're probably missing a good home-cooked meal." I didn't say anything, I just looked at her. Because what do you say to someone who only shows up when they think they're losing their grip on you? She kept talking, something about a casserole she made, how my stepbrother's thinking of taking an online course, how proud she was, how people from church were so impressed. That last part made my lip twitch. Proud of what exactly? Finally, I cut in, calm, measured. But my voice didn't shake this time. "I know why you're really here." She blinked. "What?" "You're not here because you miss me. You're here because I stopped needing you. Because the control you used to have doesn't work anymore. Because I built something without you, and you can't stand that." Her mouth opened, but nothing came out. I continued, voice steady. People walking past us, but my world going still. "You told me college was a waste of time. You told me I'd never make it. And when I proved you wrong, you didn't say congratulations. You tried to hack your way back in." She dropped the smile. "I raised you. I put food on your table. I deserve a little respect. You raised me in a house," I said quietly, "but not with love, not with belief. And respect, that goes both ways. You didn't give it, but you expect it in return." She crossed her arms, glaring now. "You think you're so much better than us now." I shook my head. "No, I just know who I am now. And for the first time in my life, I'm not going to shrink myself to make you comfortable." I turned and walked away. I didn't look back. My legs were shaking when I reached my dorm. I sat down on the bed, pulled the blanket over my knees, and let out the breath I hadn't realized I was holding. She didn't follow me, she didn't call. And in the silence that followed, I felt free. Not just physically, but emotionally, mentally, spiritually. She had always been loud in my head. But that day something shifted. Her voice lost its power. And mine finally began to rise.